Are you fascinated by true crime stories that hit close to home? Then you need to check out the gripping new book, Allegedly, True Crime from Pontotoc County, Oklahoma. From vigilante justice in the Wild West to headline-grabbing trials of the last few decades, Allegedly uncovers the dark secrets lurking beneath the surface of the community. In Pontotoc County, Oklahoma, with over a dozen cases, there's something for every true crime aficionado. Available now in ebook, paperback, and traditional hardback at your favorite online store like Amazon, Books A Million, and Barnes & Noble, or your favorite library app. To find a retailer, go to ravenrollins.com. Don't miss your chance to read Allegedly, True Crime from Pontotoc County, Oklahoma.
From chilling novels and psychological thrillers to horror short stories, film and screenplays, to true crime, podcasts, music, and the art of storytelling itself, Dreadfully Yours invites listeners into conversations with the minds behind the stories that stay with us. Hosted by author, audiobook narrator, and podcaster Raven Rollins, each chapter blends cinematic narration with intimate discussions exploring creativity, suspense, and the human experiences woven into dark storytelling. Welcome to the show where stories linger long after the last page. This is Dreadfully Yours.
She is a law professor, an innocence litigator, a former federal prosecutor, and founder of the West Virginia Innocence Project. And she's going to talk to us about all of that and her book, Manifesting Justice, Wrongly Convicted Women Reclaim Their Rights. It is Valena Beety.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here, Raven. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with me today. I have probably way too many questions.
Ooh, I love it. Awesome. I'm glad you found it so juicy.
I did. Yeah. Well, and because you talk about so much stuff in this book, like you do talk about one specific case, but we're also talking about how that relates to all of these other cases, I guess you could say nationwide. Let's see, we start with Manifesting Justice. You do kind of explain this, but I want to let you kind of touch on that real quick.
Sure. And I'll just give a brief background of the story for anyone listening out there.
Okay.
So the storyline of this is based on two of my clients in Mississippi. And it starts with three women who all meet at a drug rehab center in Mississippi. And two of those women fall in love. And they complete their program, and they leave, and they take their new friend, Kim, with them. So all three hit the road. And sadly, in less than 48 hours, Kim has taken prescription Oxycontin pills and alcohol, and she overdoses. So our two women who fell in love, Lee Stubbs and Tammy Vance, they see that their friend Kim is overdosing. They call 911, and an ambulance comes and takes Kim to the hospital. And Kim is in a coma. And, it's not certain whether she's going to pull through or not. And in a bizarre twist, the emergency room doctor thinks there might be some indicators of sexual violence. There's like some paddle marking on her butt and some redness in her vagina. And he calls in a dentist to examine this woman.
This is the part in this that I was like, I'm sorry. Did she mean to say dentist?
I know, it goes off the rails. And from that, it goes crazy. It goes crazy. The dentist alleges that he finds bite marks, and who could have bitten this woman except for the two lesbians who were with her.
And it wasn't just that he found bite marks. It was where he supposedly found the bite marks. He is a dentist. and he should not have been in the area. And she was in a coma at the time.
Unconscious.
So who is letting a dentist do this? Like, what was the reasoning that they gave for this?
I think it was just part of the investigation, quote unquote.
That's so crazy.
It is crazy. But the dentist who came in, Dr. Michael West, is notorious in Mississippi for causing other wrongful convictions as well. So he happily finds bite marks wherever he is asked to find them.
I'm just now making this connection, but I feel like I saw some sort of like documentary over him. I believe he was in this documentary.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And so we have like all of these other experts saying that doesn't make any sense what he's saying. And he's like so adamant that this is how you do it. This is how you obtain it. And, if you're not doing it this way, then, and it's just so wild to me because today isn't bite mark is that like junk science today?
Yes. It's actually almost everyone recognizes that it is, as you put it, junk science. It's bogus. It's unreliable. Even people in the field admit that it is unreliable. And yet our courts still allow bite mark evidence in. So it's really whether the prosecutor is going to use this kind of expert or not. And they really shouldn't, because it's just so completely unreliable. And I wish I could show you, Raven. I have photos of bite marks, actual confirmed bite marks, and they often just look like a red blob.
Right.
Like, well, how would you know what dental mold matches to that? Well, it's whoever the suspect's dental mold is.
Right. And even in this, whatever it is I was watching, they were saying, it's the human skin is so squishy, in common terms, I guess. It's so squishy that, and it goes through all of these changes and everything from the time that, said thing happens to death, to after death. Like, there's all of these changes that happen. Like, how could you even?
Exactly. And Dr. West came up with his West phenomenon, where he uses a blue light and says, oh, with my blue light, I can see bite marks that no one else can see. And if anyone's interested, the documentary about him is The Innocence Files.
Yes.
And it's LaVon Brooks and Kenny Brewer, who were wrongfully convicted in Mississippi by his bite mark evidence. Yeah.
Thank you for remembering that for me. Tell me, I'm going to jump. I don't want to give too much away because I know you spent a lot of time pouring this into your book. I want people to get out and read your book. So I don't want to give too much away about, you literally go into some of their backstory. You go into the trial, obviously, the trial itself. Tell me about the part where you came into contact with them. How did you find them or hear about this case for the first time?
So just to rewind a bit, I was a federal prosecutor in D.C., and I left that job to join the Mississippi Innocence Project. And I tell a bit about why I did that in the book.
Right.
But I joined the project, and Lee and Tammy had both written to the project, and their moms, who persevered would regularly call the project and ask about us taking the case. So the Mississippi Innocence Project, which had just opened like 2 years earlier, they decided to take the case, and I was assigned to it and just dove right in.
Are there sort of like protocols on what you look for in a case in order to take that case on?
Yeah. So most innocence organizations, and there's about one in every state, and they make an innocence network. So most innocence organizations have an application that needs to be filled out, and then a screening process of how you go through those applications. And you also usually have a backlog of many applications. But in looking at her case, So we represented Lee Stubbs and then found someone else to represent Tammy Vance, the co-defendant. And looking at her case, the mamas had already requested some documents from the FBI because they thought the FBI might know something. So we were already on the track of there could be evidence here that we don't know about and that proves these two women are innocent.
I actually was going to touch on that undisclosed evidence that you talk about in your book.
Right.
I don't want to give too much away, but, sometimes people hide stuff.
Yeah, and they didn't turn it over. Mm-hmm. Important stuff. I mean, this case is so crazy because you have the bite marks, which are totally bogus, and we knew that at the time, too.
Right.
So we had other clients convicted by Dr. West and his bite marks. But then you have, like you're saying, evidence that's out there that the defendants never knew about.
Yeah. So how many cases do you usually have going simultaneously?
Post-conviction, so all these people have already been convicted, which means it takes a tremendous amount of effort to reverse a conviction. It just does, right? You really have to prove that this person didn't do it. So it's a lot of investigation. And we had 3 attorneys at the project, and I bet we had about 20 cases total. So you can only take on so many because you do such a deep dive into them.
Right. Your personal expertise includes wrongful convictions due to gender and sexual orientation. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah. So over 70% of women who have been wrongfully convicted were convicted where no crime occurred. It's not a matter of someone else did it. It's that there was no crime.
Right.
So those are, those are cases like Lee and Tammy. Those are also like child death cases, like Melissa Lucio, who is on death row in Texas right now. And it goes back to what you said about junk science. A lot of these cases rest on junk science, bite marks, fire science, shaken baby syndrome, which can be wrong. It's this real overlap where women are less likely to have DNA evidence in their case that can, 100% exonerate them pretty easily. But instead, they end up being convicted by junk science where no crime occurred.
Whatever evidence that is not initially used. Why do you think that? Is it because it's something that's coming in later, that's found later, for the most part?
Yeah, so it could be evidence that the prosecutor had that was never turned over, and that exculpates them, but you don't have access to it, and you don't even know it's there until someone starts digging. So it could be that. It could be just change in science. I mean, 20 years ago, we didn't know that bite mark evidence was so unreliable. 20 years ago, we believed in some fire myths that now we know better. And now fire science investigations are better because we actually know more about fire science, but we didn't know at the time. So change in science is huge. And courts generally hate this because they're like, no, let's just stick with the original conviction. It's like, how can you keep these people in prison when we now know that they didn't do this?
Yeah.
So you butt up against kind of the finality that the court's looking for.
And you do talk about even more stuff in your book, like mistaken eyewitnesses. Which we all know. We all know how reliable eyewitnesses can be. So, and even things like witnesses who lie on the stand or lying, police officers who lie and all sorts of stuff like that. So you actually talk about you talk about a lot of issues in this book. How often do you see this stuff in these cases that you take?
Frequently. I mean, all
Too
the time.
frequently.
They're called hallmarks of wrongful conviction. And that's another reason why projects will take a case, is that they see these hallmarks, as they're called, of wrongful conviction. So like you were saying, eyewitness misidentification, false confessions. Women are also more likely to falsely confess. And this is also where we get the guilty where there was never a crime, because women will take responsibility or will say, oh, I'm so sorry, or oh, I must have done something, even though they didn't do what was alleged. If they're in this interrogation with a dominant authority figure, a police officer, they'll often just start saying, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, when they didn't do anything at all.
And they take that as, oh, they're admitting that they're guilty. Right
Yep,
then and
exactly.
Right there. But one of the big issues is that when you're going through these cases to try to get exonerations, it's not like they look at these cases as a whole, right? They kind of piece them out and go, well, we have to look at this little part of it.
Yeah, and I'll just say, I think there are far more people who are wrongfully convicted and innocent in prison than we even know about. Because the only cases that are taken by innocence organizations are where there really is that incredibly convincing evidence of innocence. So if you don't have that evidence, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
But you're right that each case is individual. So you're going to look at all the different components of each case. And that's why it takes so long to investigate the cases and get them reversed. I mean, I've had clients for over 10 years, where you just keep working on the case and working on the case.
Tell me why proving factual innocence is usually not enough to release an individual.
So this is where the title of my book comes in, Manifesting Justice. And in the very beginning of the book, I put it out there that I think courts should be looking at whether the conviction is unjust rather than just whether the person can prove their innocence. Because right now it's all, can this individual convince the court that they are innocent? Instead of, well, do we actually think this conviction is reliable? Do we want to uphold this conviction when we know the prosecutor didn't disclose evidence? We know the police officer lied on the stand. We know the eyewitness was mistaken. We know there was junk science provided. Like, do we really want to uphold that conviction? And my argument is to shift from such a focus on, did this person prove innocence, to, is this a miscarriage of justice? Is this manifestly unjust?
So then what would be the difference in looking at that and saying all of these things were wrong with this trial? What's the difference in exonerating someone and saying, well, we need to retry them?
The case could be reversed and the person get a new trial, either under manifest injustice or under kind of a actual innocence angle. So both ways, even when someone has their conviction reversed because they're, actually, quote unquote, actually innocent, they've met that very high standard, which is an incredibly high standard. And again, that's usually a standard met largely by DNA evidence. Mm-hmm. And most women and women exonerees do not have DNA evidence in their case. They don't have that golden ticket. So even if you have the DNA and you show, look, it was not me, it was Jim, your conviction has been reversed. The prosecutors can still rebring the charges and just take you to trial again. So whether your conviction is reversed based on actual innocence or miscarriage of justice, either way, the prosecutors can rebring the charges. And that's one thing broadly I talk about in the book is prosecutors rebringing these charges when they don't even seem to believe in them. And I say that because they'll rebring the charges, and let's say it's a capital murder case, okay? Death penalty murder. They rebring the charge and they say, you know what? You can take a plea to assault to time served, which means you don't have to go back to prison, and that'll resolve this case. And it's like, if you actually thought that this person murdered someone, why would you say, oh, you know what? Here's a lower plea and time served. You can walk right out the door. You don't have to go back to prison. If you actually think they're dangerous, I mean, why would you give them a time served plea? I question those.
I'm right there with you on that. I think like every time I hear, oh, they were given a plea deal, I'm like, why? You think they murdered 14 people? We're giving them or whatever.
Yeah.
But why,
right.
Why are we letting them just, or some of these even violent cases that have nothing to do with murder, but violent cases that you see where they get time served or they get a suspended sentence. And I'm like, was this not like their fourth violent crime? Why are they on the streets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And that's a whole other thing that I talk about in the book from being a prosecutor, that victims really still aren't necessarily, given justice through the criminal system. And I prosecuted domestic violence and sex offenses, and we would routinely drop very serious offenses down to like a misdemeanor because we didn't think we could get a conviction. And then it's like, well, what is 6 months in prison going to do for this person? They're not going to, reform their behavior. And it's really tragic that our system often just doesn't help victims.
Yeah. How often do you actually see the wrongfully convicted see exoneration?
Well, I can say a lot of wrongfully convicted people do take Alford pleas. So that's what we were talking about with the prosecutor before, except they're able to, in an Alford plea, they're able to continue to claim their innocence and say, I didn't do this, but the state has enough evidence to convince a jury, so I'm pleading guilty. A lot of people. And one sad thing is, a fair bit of our data on wrongful convictions comes from the National Registry of Exonerations, which is a great resource, but they don't include people whose convictions were reversed and who then took an Alford plea.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
And with an Alford plea, you're getting out of jail, you're getting out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
However, you still have that on your record. Like it's not going anywhere. It's going to be really hard for you to live your life, get a job, not that it wouldn't anyway. If it's something like, capital murder or something like that, you probably have been in the headlines, but at least you would have a clear record if you have a clear exoneration and not have to take an Alford plea.
Yeah.
You have, well, you talk about it, obviously, literally everything here you talked about in your book. So if you want like super details, you can go get the book. But you talk about assisting people wrongfully on the sex offender registry as well. And something called unnatural intercourse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So for anyone out there, the book really does cover a ton of different things.
It really
so you
does.
may pick it up for like women's rights. You may pick it up for LGBTQ rights and wrongful convictions.
Mm-hmm.
You may pick it up for innocence work. So I am a queer woman. I'm married to another woman. And some of my clients have been also part of the LGBTQ community. And sodomy, which is, just for folks listening, both oral and anal sex.
Mm-hmm.
It's both. And it doesn't have to be between people of the same gender. So think about that. Like, it's pretty broad.
It is a very broad term. Yes.
It is, right?
Yeah.
So that was illegal until 2000. It's either 2001 or 2003, and a case Lawrence v. Texas. And frankly, it could be recriminalized again. And the anti-sodomy statutes were mainly used against gay men. Mm-hmm. So even though it's a very broad term, they're mainly used against gay men. So if you were convicted of unnatural intercourse, then you would be on the sex offender registry. So literally, if you were a gay man who had received one of these criminal charges They may have said, oh, okay, well, you won't have to serve time in prison, but we're going to put you on the sex offender registry. So for years, we still had gay men who were on the sex offender registry, even though I would say their behavior shouldn't have ever been criminalized, and it definitely was no longer criminal.
Obviously, you're not just trying to exonerate people who were convicted of murder. It's all of these other things as well.
Yeah. And things that may seem like lower level offenses, but still really matter, like juveniles and sex work. There's not as much attention paid to, juveniles who get prostitution charges or gay men who are on the sex offender registry. Like there's just, even though they can impact many people, they don't get as much attention because they're not as severe of sentences. And thank goodness they're not. But it's much harder to get attention to those cases.
Well, they aren't as severe sentences. However, you are on the National Sex Offender Registry, and there's a lot that goes into that. Like, they stipulate a lot of things about your life once you're, out in the real world again, that when you get an exoneration for something like that, basically that means it didn't happen, right? How about you just explain what an exoneration is for my listeners?
Yeah, so an exoneration means that a court has affirmed that this person did not commit the crime that they had been convicted of. So not just their conviction was reversed, even though that's the first step, but even after that, the prosecution doesn't bring additional charges, or the court affirmatively says, okay, you didn't do this. And that could either be the crime never happened, or it could be, we have proof that someone else did it. You got the wrong person.
When you get exonerated, now I had talked to Jarrett Adams.
I listened to that one, yeah.
Yeah, about his, and like the things that were blowing my mind about it is that basically when you get, well, let's say you get paroled out, okay? You have all these resources that you're given, to kind of help you get your way back into the world. But when you're exonerated, nothing.
Nope.
There's nothing.
Nope. You don't have any of that. I know. And I remember him talking about that, and I'm so glad he did, because some people are shocked by that, that if you didn't commit the crime, you're just
SOL.
Sent out the door with, with whatever you got in your pocket.
Yeah.
And hopefully some support, because you're not going to get anything else. Yeah.
And I was wondering, when you get exonerated, do they wipe your records, or do you have to go in and file for like expungement and stuff like that?
Yeah, Raven, that's such a good question. So you generally have to affirmatively get your record cleaned, and that can take years. There's a study that came out where these folks looked at people who were on the National Registry of Exonerations, had been exonerated, and they still had a criminal record. Yeah, it was still on there. So when they go apply for a job, and this is 2-3 years after they've been exonerated, it's still like the
looming
boss,
over them.
Right.
Yeah.
Boss is like, what? You have a murder conviction? And they're like, no, I didn't do it.
Well, I think the problem is that, like you said, they just kind of go, okay, they open the door and let you out into the world. They don't tell you anything. And so they definitely don't tell you, hey, this is still going to be on your record unless you go down and physically have someone physically remove it from your record. Nobody's being told this stuff. You get exonerated for something, you need to be able to go down and say, hey, this needs to be gone.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So do you know of, we were talking about, there's no resources for anyone who's been exonerated. Do you know of any organizations that may help in that way, or anything like that maybe are some resources that people don't know about?
Yeah. So there's, for example, an organization that was founded by John Thompson, JT, an exoneree, who was passed away, but in Louisiana, specifically for Louisiana, New Orleans exonerees. There's also a Life After Exoneration, I think is what it's called, organization in Chicago that's also for exonerees. So there's a couple of organizations. And then this is kind of interesting. There's two exonerees who married each other, Sonny and Peter, and they have a beautiful home in Ireland that they invite exonerees to come for, a few weeks and just have kind of a respite. But they've also started a senior living center in Florida.
That's awesome.
So for exonerees, because again, you've served how many years in prison? A number of these people are pretty far along in their lives, and this is a space where they can live as seniors.
Yeah.
Many of the exonerees, when they get out, are 40 plus and are just trying to, find a job, live with their family, whatever family they still have, just trying to make it by. So they're more likely to be living in poverty.
What has it been like working with the Innocence Network in general?
It's an incredible group of people. It's really determined people, and the Innocence Network includes lawyers, but also social workers. So again, to help exonerees as well. It includes journalists. Technically, the Innocence Network is these individual innocence projects that, are standalone. But when you think of the innocence community, that includes exonerees who are doing work for other people now wrongfully convicted. That includes journalists. That includes social workers. It's a broad community of people.
I want to thank you for what you do.
Aww.
I feel like thank you for what you do every day. We kind of skipped a little bit about you. I wanted to talk to you about your background, like before all of this. I'm looking at your resume here. This resume.
Oh gosh, boo.
It looks made up. I'm not going to lie to you. It
just looks busy. You try to jam something on there to impress people.
But it does kind of look like you kind of always knew this was your trajectory. Like this was where you kind of want to go with it. Did you always want to get into law?
I definitely always wanted to work in women's rights, human rights. I talk a bit in the book about being a rape victim advocate in college, and that was huge for me. And that's when I decided I really wanted to go to law school, because I wanted to prosecute sex offenses. I just saw so many people who had been hurt. And I appreciated being an advocate who was there in the hospital helping these people in a really critical time. But it did make me feel, after helping person after person, like, well, we should stop these people who are repeat offenders, right? Like, we should stop those individuals from continuing to harm people. And so at that point, I really started thinking about becoming a prosecutor.
And what was it like being a federal prosecutor?
Well, it was a little bit different because I was in D.C., and D.C. is not a state. And so the federal prosecutor office does state crimes and federal crimes. They do it all, right? Because they're the only resource. So I did what would have otherwise been in another location in a state, would have been state crimes. I worked with some really passionate prosecutors who really cared about violence against women, violence against marginalized individuals. To this day, if I want to see the folks I want to hang out with in a prosecutor's office, it's going to be those folks, right? We're going to align on a lot of values. But on the other hand, I ultimately felt like we were failing victims in what we were doing. And I didn't think that, the 6-month sentence was really resolving what caused those violent behaviors in the first place.
Yeah. What point was it where you thought, well, maybe you should teach this?
Ooh, oh my gosh. Well, that was way down the road, because I was like, who am I to be a teacher, right?
But you did teach. You co-led the Academy for Justice at Arizona State, right?
Yes.
Tell me about why you took that job. What made you want to teach, and maybe what classes you taught?
Oh, yeah. So at the Academy for Justice, where I'm currently the deputy director, but I'm also a professor at Arizona State. So I currently teach a women, gender, and the law class, which I love. I also teach criminal law. I teach a course on wrongful convictions. I teach criminal procedure, which is about police. So what police can do and what individual rights we have. So after, litigating in criminal justice for a while, I was drawn to teaching and being able to work with students. And I love being able to see these students who, just like me years ago, are figuring out what their path is going to be and learning how they're going to contribute in the world.
Like, I'm always like sneaking into your seminars.
Yeah.
I want to learn everything that I can learn, and there's just like not enough time in the day. I like to give information to people like an if this happens to you sort of scenario. So let's say you have been put on trial, you are innocent, you go through your trial, and they determine that you're guilty. What's your next move?
Ooh, you have to find an attorney to represent you, and you have to start figuring out how to get that evidence together. And you do get an attorney for your initial direct appeal, but that's just kind of what went wrong at trial. But if your attorney didn't actually investigate the case, right, a common refrain is by a defense attorney would be, oh, the state has to prove it. We don't have to put on anything. The state has to prove their case. Well, yeah, but then the only thing the jury hears is from the state.
Right.
So it's not surprising that they're going to convict if they only hear from the state.
Right.
So I do think got to get a lawyer and got to move fast. One of the things I talk about is in federal court, there's this statute called EDPA, which I totally think we should change. And it says you only have a year after your conviction is final to challenge your conviction in federal court. You have 1 year.
Wow.
So you got to find all that evidence in 1 year, or else they're like, nope.
I did not know that. That's not really that much time at all. I mean, at what point should they reach out to an innocence project somewhere?
Right away. Because, again, a lot of projects have a backlog and it takes them a while to work through their applications. So it's important to go ahead and apply at the earliest moment. And then you can always send in additional information to update your file.
If you haven't read the book, go get the book.
Well, if I can just throw out there, the book talks about a lot of different heavy things, some of which we've talked about today. But a reader out there could be like my mom, who was just like, oh, I just skipped those chapters. I just read the story. I just read about Lee and Tammy. So there is a good story here that's pretty gripping and pretty salacious.
I did really enjoy hearing about these girls' sort of backstories and what led them to this moment. And then that doctor, dentist. And the bite marks, we can say where he says the bite marks were. He had claimed that the labia had been bitten off.
Yep, that one side of the labia was bitten off and the other side was chewed on.
Chewed. I was like, how could you even know that? That makes no sense.
Right.
And there was no blood.
What does he know about? There was no blood. There was no evidence that, come on, that a woman's genitalia has been bitten off. And he's so convinced. He's like, oh, yeah.
And there was no point in which they were like, well, let's get a medical doctor in here to corroborate this.
Right.
And so we're just kind of going off this guy's word. And he's not, he's no labia expert, so.
No. And, Raven, as you pointed out earlier, how does he even have access to Kim's body where Kim is completely naked? And he's able to like tell these nurses, oh, we'll move her body this way, move her body that way. I mean, that itself is such a violation.
I can tell you that no dentist of mine has ever seen me naked. So.
True. Me too, funny enough.
I mean, if you just say that to just a normal person, like, hey, has your dentist ever seen you naked? They'll be like, what are you talking about? No. So then, I mean, if you further it and, well, does your dentist do your medical, exams? Of course not. No. So then why was he allowed access to her entire body, no consent? Mm-hmm. That just blew my mind. And the fact that there was no blood even at the scene. There was no blood.
None. There was none in the vehicle they were all in together. There was none in the hotel room. It's like, no, there was none. And you'd think that, there's a lot of blood flow. You'd think there would be something, right?
Exactly, yes. I wanted to ask you, I just remembered. I wanted to ask you, and I don't think this was in your book. I think I heard you say this somewhere else. What is a lesbian vampire? Because I need to know.
Yeah. It's these stereotypes that, in fiction literature, they go back hundreds of years, like about that lesbians bite. That lesbians are violent and vicious, and they bite, and they're blood-sucking.
And they're feral, and...
Yes, all of these stereotypes. What was that jury thinking? They were thinking, okay, here are these two women. They've put on all this evidence that these two women are lesbians, that they were seen kissing, and other people were, grossed out by it, and that the woman who overdosed, her labia is missing. Mm-hmm. So you're like, oh my gosh. Well, who would possibly ever do that? Who would ever do that?
A lesbian, obviously. Even up to today, there are people with a certain mindset that, oh, well, they're lesbians, or, oh, they're gay, or, they did it. That's all there is to it. So
I think there's a real overlap here of, seeing LGBTQ people, lesbians, as deviant, as, lawbreakers based on their sexual orientation, and that can correlate to, well, sure, I'm not surprised they're also violent. And we're seeing this spate of, anti-LGBTQ bills, sadly, largely across the South. And it's very emotional. It's based on these emotional narratives of fear. Mm-hmm. If we have stories out there that queer people are violent and dangerous, and that lesbians bite people, that ties into that emotional narrative of, oh my gosh, these are people who are different from us, and who knows what they could possibly do.
Right.
But really, we're just like everyone, And
well, I can say that I have never been attacked by a lesbian. I've never been attacked by a gay person. I've never seen them, having sex in the streets.
Right.
I've never,
Pretty boring. Lesbians are pretty boring. I will say from my own experience.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad that I get to do something where I get to read books that I was already going to read, like hands down.
Oh,
and
thank you.
And I get to talk to the wonderful people that write them. And the way I see it is I get to talk to some really cool people who do some really cool things. And so again, thank you for what you do. Thank you for taking a stand. Some people don't have it in them to take a stand like you have, so much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Is your Instagram Valena
Beety? Mm-hmm. And same with Twitter. Twitter's also, I don't know if Twitter has the dot or not, but it's VALENA BEETY.
Are you on Facebook or no?
Yes. Yeah, I am.
Yes, but no.
I mainly just use Instagram, and then I let it post to Facebook as well.
Okay.
So
there you go. You can find Valena on Instagram and Twitter. You do have a website. It is www.valenabeety.com.
Yep.
Go there, learn more. You have all about you on there. Your resume. Everything that
Don't look at the resume.
Well, and you have what link is it where you link your seminars? You have upcoming seminars. You do a lot of speeches and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So that's also on the webpage, valenabeety.com. So as long as you spell my name right, you'll be able to find me. There's not many of us.
Perfect.
Aw, thank you.
I wish I could have you here. I would totally make you sign it.
I would totally sign it.
Well, if you're ever in Oklahoma, you hit me up.
Will do. Oh my gosh. No, thank you. Like, I spent a lot of time writing this, and I just randomly reached out to you and was like, hey, will you let me be on your podcast? And you said yes. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We will see you next time on the podcast.
Thank you for listening to this chapter of conversations with some of our world's dark storytellers. This story may be over for now.
The next chapter is always waiting to be written.
Until then,
Dreadfully yours, Raven Rollins.